A little girl stands frozen in her bedroom doorway at night. Her voice trembles. "Mom, he's back. He wants to play again." 3 children, 3 different countries. None of them ever met, and yet they all describe the same imaginary friend. A tall man, with no eyes, only a stretched smile. They drew the same strange symbol. They heard the same whispered invitation. Did you ever have an imaginary friend as a child? What if they weren't imaginary at all? Childhood is supposed to be safe, a place of innocence, laughter, and imagination. But sometimes imagination opens a door, and something steps through. This first case comes from Portland, Oregon in 2009. 8-year-old Ethan Ramsey began telling his parents about a friend who lived inside his bedroom closet. At first, his parents assumed it was just childhood imagination. But Ethan didn't describe a cartoonish friend or a kid his age. He described a man, a tall man, who crouched inside the closet at night, smiling at him through the dark. Ethan said he didn't have eyes, just smooth skin where the eyes should be. But he smiled a lot, even when he wasn't happy. His parents laughed it off, until a small incident made them pay attention. One morning, Ethan's mother found a drawing on his bedroom floor. It showed a circle with 3 vertical lines beneath it, almost like a sun with 3 legs. Ethan said, "It's his face. He told me to draw it so you'd know him too." At night, Ethan's parents set up a baby monitor in his room to reassure him. At around 2:45 a.m., they heard whispering, soft, rhythmic, childlike humming. Ethan was asleep, but on the audio, a second voice whispered, "Come play with me." The family moved Ethan to another room. From that night on, he never mentioned the man again. Years later, at age 17, Ethan was asked if he remembered his imaginary friend. He refused to talk about it. All he said was, "Don't let kids sleep with their closet open." I grew up in Kumasi, Ghana, in a compound house where everyone knew everyone's business. I was 9 years old when something happened that my family still refuses to talk about. In the corner of our compound was an old abandoned outdoor bathroom nobody used anymore. The wooden door was rotten and the roof was nearly gone, but every night I heard whispers coming from inside it. At first I thought it was my imagination, because kids hear strange things at night. But then the whispers began saying my name, not shouting, not calling, whispering. "Kwabena, come." The voice sounded like a child, almost like someone who wanted to play. One night I gathered the courage to look through the hole in the bathroom door. Inside, I didn't see a person. I saw a shadow, small, like a child, standing on the wall. But the disturbing thing was, there was no one casting it. It just stood there, and it waved at me. I screamed and ran. My auntie beat me for lying and said it was witches trying to deceive children. In Ghana, people blame everything on witches. But what I saw wasn't what an adult described from superstition. It was real. A few days later, something even stranger happened. While playing ampe with my cousins, a little boy walked through the gate. He was barefoot, dusty, and wearing old shorts. He asked if he could play with us. My cousin said no and walked away. I felt bad and stayed with him. He smiled and said, "You're the only one who hears me." My body went cold. I stepped back, and before I could blink, I watched him fade into a shadow on the ground and crawl toward the old bathroom. That night, I told my grandmother. She didn't get angry. She just prayed, sprinkled salt at the bathroom entrance, and warned everyone never to go near it again. 2 weeks after that, the old bathroom was demolished. Inside, they found something that still haunts me. A small pair of children's slippers and a school uniform, buried in the floor. Nobody knows what happened to that child or how long that shadow had been waiting for someone to play with. I was 7 years old, living in a small village near Nizhny Novgorod in Russia. Winter nights were long and power outages were common. My room had one window that faced the forest, a silent, endless darkness covered in snow. One night, a storm cut the power again. My mother lit candles and told me to sleep. As I curled up in bed, I noticed something outside the window. A doll, sitting in the snow, staring up at my room. Its dress was torn, its hair messy, and one of its glass eyes was missing. At first, I thought maybe the wind blew someone's toy there. But then the doll moved, not like it blew over. It turned its head slowly and looked directly at me. I screamed, and my mother rushed into the room. She looked outside, but the doll was gone. She said it was just my imagination and made me sleep in her room that night. The next morning, the doll was sitting at our front door. My father burned it. We thought that was the end of it, until a week later, when I woke up and found snowy footprints leading from the forest to my bedroom window. Small footprints, like a child had been walking barefoot on snow. And on the windowsill sat the same doll, half burnt, with melted plastic skin, smiling. I stopped sleeping in that room. Years later, when we moved out, I returned one last time to pack my things. The house was empty, cold and quiet. As I entered my old bedroom, I saw something carved into the wall near the window, as if scratched by tiny fingers. Why didn't you play with me? In northern Japan, there is a belief that spirits linger in forgotten places, shrines, forests, and abandoned homes. Children are warned never to speak to voices coming from the woods, because the spirit that answers may follow them home. But in 1997, one little girl did more than speak to the voice. She played with it. 7-year-old Hana lived with her grandparents in a small village near Aomori. Their house sat on the edge of a dense cedar forest that locals avoided at night. One path cut through it, leading to a tiny old Shinto shrine that had been abandoned for years. One afternoon, while chasing butterflies with her cousin, Hana wandered near the shrine. That's when she saw it, sitting perfectly upright on the wooden steps. A traditional Japanese doll, a kokeshi, paint faded, kimono worn, but with delicate features. Except the eyes. They looked hand-painted, yet almost alive, as if watching her. Hana picked up the doll. She smiled at it. The doll smiled back. That night, Hana told her grandmother she made a new friend. She's very pretty. She lives at the shrine. Her name is Emmy. Her grandmother froze at the name. Without asking any questions, she told Hana never to go back there, even forbade her from playing outside alone. But spirits don't visit once, they return. Hana stopped going to the shrine. She didn't need to. She brought the doll home. She placed it beside her pillow and talked to it for hours. Her grandmother noticed Hana had started leaving rice and candies next to the doll every night, like offerings. When asked why, Hana smiled innocently. Emmy gets hungry too. Her grandmother immediately performed a purification prayer and tried to take the doll away. Hana screamed, not like a child having a tantrum, but like someone was hurting her. And as the grandmother lifted the doll, the room shook. The lights flickered. All the sliding doors slammed shut at once. They returned the doll to Hana's arms. The house went silent. Over the next few nights, Hana spoke to someone in her room. Her grandparents would hear whispering behind the sliding shoji door. At first, they thought she was pretending, chatting with a toy like children do. Until one night, her grandfather heard two voices, Hana's, and a second, soft and unfamiliar, responding. Over the next weeks, the grandparents noticed the doll was changing. Its hair, originally short and painted, was now real and longer, first covering its ears, then reaching its shoulders. Hana brushed the doll's hair as if it were alive. Real cases of dolls believed to grow hair exist in Japan, like the famous Okiku doll kept in Hokkaido. But this one was not in a shrine. It was in a child's bedroom. Hannah said Emmy was no longer sleeping in the doll. She walks now. She likes the hallway because it's dark. The grandparents began hearing soft footsteps at night, tiny feet, running, but Hannah would be asleep the whole time. The turning point came after Hannah fell severely ill, high fever, weakness, and speaking in a voice that wasn't hers. A priest from a nearby town was called. He said a kodama, a forest spirit, had attached to the doll. It wasn't an innocent child spirit. It was claiming the girl. The only solution was to return the doll to the shrine and perform a separation ritual. That night, the priest, grandparents, and Hannah walked toward the forest. Hannah, barely conscious, clutched the doll to her chest, not wanting to let go. As they approached the shrine, Hannah lifted her head and whispered in a second voice, "She doesn't want to leave. She chose me." Suddenly, the trees shook violently. The priest began the ritual, chanting, placing salt around the shrine, and preparing to burn the doll. Hannah screamed, collapsing to the ground. The doll's hair lit on fire without a match. The flames burned, then extinguished on their own, leaving the doll half-charred. Its face melted into a twisted smile. The priest finished the ritual. Hannah went silent. Hannah survived. Her fever broke the next morning, but she remembered nothing. Not the doll, not Emmy, not the shrine. The doll was sealed inside a wooden box with talismans and taken to a temple in Kyoto, where it remains to this day, stored with hundreds of other spirit-attached dolls. But once a year, on the anniversary of the ritual, Hannah's grandmother swears she sees small wet footprints leading from the forest to their doorstep, as if someone small returns to visit. In 1983, a 7-year-old girl named Elise Moreau was enrolled in a small Catholic boarding school on the outskirts of Lyon, France. The school, Saint-Marien-des-Anges, had been running since the late 1800s, mainly for children from strict Catholic households. Elise was shy, quiet, and struggled to make friends. She spent most breaks alone in the old playroom at the far end of the school, a room filled with dusty toys donated over the years. But one afternoon, Elise told her parents she had made a new friend, a nun, a very kind nun, one who only played with her when the other sisters weren't around. Her name, according to Elise, was Sister Genevieve, but the school hadn't had a nun by that name for over 50 years. At first, Elise's parents thought she was simply inventing an imaginary friend to cope with loneliness. Children imagine kind adults sometimes. It felt harmless, but things began to change. One night, Elise's mother found her daughter praying, not the usual child's bedtime prayer, but an old Latin prayer no child her age should know. When asked who taught it to her, Elise replied, "Sœur Geneviève says it keeps the dark one away." Her parents assumed she must have overheard it at school, until Elise added softly, "She said, he follows children who feel alone." The first sign of something truly strange came a week later. During recess, Elise was sitting alone when a ball rolled toward her. She picked it up and looked around. No other child claimed it. She began playing by herself, bouncing it gently. Then a shadow, shaped like a nun, passed across the wall behind her. None of the supervising teachers were nuns. All nuns had stopped working at the school years ago. When a teacher asked who she was talking to, Elise pointed at an empty bench and said, "She's sitting right there." She says her feet don't touch the ground anymore. At this point, teachers believed she was creating a fantasy. But then Elise began knowing things she shouldn't know. She told the headmistress that one of the dormitory beds needed to be moved because the crack in the wall would open again and someone would crawl out. The headmistress froze because that exact bed had been moved 30 years earlier after a girl reported seeing hands coming through the wall. No student in 1983 knew that story. The record was in a locked archive. It escalated on a cold November evening. Elise was found in the playroom, sitting across from an empty chair, talking to it as if comforting someone. Teachers overheard her whisper, "Don't cry. I know he hurt you. I'll be good so he won't come for me too." When questioned, Elise said Sir Geneviève was sad because she failed to protect the other children, and he took them through the walls. When asked who he was, Elise slowly raised her hand and pointed to the dark corner behind the toy chest and whispered, "The smiling man." The school brought in a priest to bless the playroom. During the blessing, Elise began screaming. She pointed at the chair and yelled, "Don't take her away!" She's the only one keeping him out. She had never acted violently before. When the blessing ended, she fainted. That night, she had a violent nightmare, waking the entire dorm with her screams. She cried, "He found her." He took her through the door in the floor. The next morning, the playroom was locked permanently. Years later, in 1998, a restoration of the school uncovered something chilling beneath that same playroom floor. A small storage room, sealed since the 1930s. Inside were a child-sized bed, tiny rosary, small shoes, a nun's cracked name tag, Sir Geneviève Fournier, deceased 1933. Records showed she died protecting children during a break-in, reportedly killed by a man who wanted the children. Her last words were documented by another sister. "If I smile, they won't cry. If I don't blink, he can't take them." Elise is now 47. In a 2021 interview, she was asked if she believed Sir Geneviève was imaginary. She shook her head and said, "She wasn't the danger. She was the warning." When asked if the entity ever returned, Elise stared at the interviewer for several seconds, then replied, "He doesn't always come as a shadow or a monster. Sometimes, he smiles first. A single child's whisper, 'Play with me.'" Schools are supposed to be places of learning, friendship, and childhood memories. But for some children, school becomes a place they never want to return to. In 2003, at a small primary school in Hertfordshire, England, a series of incidents took place that staff still refuse to officially talk about. It involved one Year 6 classroom and a row of old metal lockers at the end of the hall. It happened to an 11-year-old girl named Mia Turner. One Monday morning, Mia placed her backpack inside locker 23, the only one left. Her classmates avoided it. They claimed it smelled weird and made strange noises. During math lesson, Mia heard it for the first time. 3 slow metallic knocks, like someone tapping from inside a locker. At break time, Mia asked her friend Ellie if she heard it too. Ellie nodded, but said something that sent chills down Mia's spine. In a child voice, whisper, "It's better if you don't answer it." Over the next 3 days, the knocking became louder and more frequent. During reading time, during lunch, even during assemblies when the hall should have been empty. Teachers blamed pipes, metal expansion, or students messing around. But something changed on Thursday, because the locker spoke, almost like static through an old radio. "Let me out." Mia froze. She leaned in, thinking someone was trapped as a prank, but the voice changed. "Mia, open it." Her name. It knew her name. She stepped back, heart racing. A teacher walking by scolded Mia for loitering after school and dismissed her tears as tiredness. But that night, Mia had a dream of the locker door swinging open and a small pale hand reaching out. On Friday, the locker door stood wide open when students arrived. No one wanted to go near it. Mia's backpack, placed there the previous day, was gone. Inside the locker was something else. A shoe no student owned. From a decade none of them lived in. The head teacher locked the corridor and told staff to deny everything and keep children away from that section. But kids talk, rumors spread, and older students revealed something chilling. Locker 23 used to belong to a boy named Samuel Harris, who went missing in 1958. They never found him, just his shoes. Mia was given detention for lying and causing panic. The school claimed the missing backpack was a mix-up. As she sat alone, she heard it again. Not from the hallway this time.